Okay, here's a quick follow-up on some of the crashes that I know you've experienced and I've experienced, and kind of like what I'm attempting now to maybe isolate the cause of the problem. And so, what I what I'm trying to triangulate, if that's the correct word for it, is or correlate is probably a better term. What I'm trying to find a correlation between is data, the game engine, and crashes without actually looking at the specific data and looking at the game engine code. Um, eventually, I will eventually I will have the code to break down the individual data fields and make it so that the user can define what they want to check. I've got to first I have to get an understanding of the data structures more intimately than what I have, and I need to be able to sit down and decide what questions I want to answer, or what questions would I pose that would require coding functionality to answer. But it is coming. It's just kind of slow. So I noticed here I had gotten a loose file stream, and this is the last of my this is the last time that I actually played the game, or the last time a game session started and ended is a better term or better explanation. So I'm currently in the process of playing it now, and that metric data won't be available until that game session ends, and then the code can go in and take a look at the data repositories, that the recorded data in those repositories, and then try to do whatever it is it's going to do to get back the metric data. So one of the things I noticed was I was using I actually was using Boston Natural Surroundings 2.0, which were evergreens. They weren't deciduous trees, they were evergreens. And so I moved that over to the deciduous because I thought, well, that would make more sense. I love the look of the evergreen. I love the green, how it contrasted the different colors in the game. I actually like that. It reminded me of like a redwood forest or something like that. But I went to the beta version of 3.0, and that's what I was using. And then I kind of went back and started looking at the files, and the mods, and I'm like, oh, here's BNS. Let me see if that's a problem, because I'm getting random crashes throughout, and there's not a lot of them with this loose file stream, but I am getting them. So I'm like, okay, if BNS is everywhere. Let me see if I can rule that out. So this current test, which I did update this mid-game, and I can show you the game save here in a minute, and most of the quote suspended stacks are from the Keteros framework. Not sure why, but they are slowly building up. So it's almost like there's a leak in there somewhere, and it's continuing to build up. So I think it had like 36, and now it's 50 something. But I'll show you that at the end of the video. So I upgraded to the release version of Boston Natural Surroundings 3.0, and then I uninstalled the I uninstalled the this one here, the beta. So the beta is uninstalled, and I'm now using the new version. See, that's what's in the game now. And of course, the Lighthouse Papyrus and Uneducated Shooter, I always update these. These are DLLs. So unless the mod author makes, unless the coder makes some kind of, not want to say grievous error. I mean, all of us coders, bugs are it's just part of the game. That should be fine. Inline updating should be fine. All right, but what I wanted to show you is over here, we were talking about crashes, and I went ahead and put some graphing code in here. It's not very complicated. It's fairly simple. But if you graph the history for the crashes, and these include both those that are from Buffout and from when Windows catches it, because this would be what Buffout catches, this would be what Windows catches. You can see that the 05 here, and the access violations. Those are the most common. The most common, because this is the distance of this graph, this bar, no matter what size it is it's proportional to the total number of items. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different elements, and the count for each of those elements goes into the total. So this is the actual percentage of the total. So the access violation is the actual highest count. Your Stack Overflow, which is here and here, is next. And then some of these, this divide by zero, I believe that was a reshade issue or had something to do with screen resolution or something, because that's the only time I saw it, and I've never seen it since. But most of them are access violations. Okay, so and then if we take a look at, all right, let me move this over here, and then we'll take a look at, I just added some very simple graphing code, because most of the framework to display all this data has graphing built in. You just need to, basically tell it when you draw something. When you draw this, you're actually drawing a graph. You're not actually drawing data, like text data. And I think I stuck it up here. And you can put this stuff anywhere you want. I just stuck it up here just to have access to it. But this menu, the menu, the icon, the little images, and all this stuff is completely configurable. I already read. So basically, all the buff out logs, everything that generates this data here, like all of this data, these are files that I keep on my system. I keep the buff out logs on my system because I do want to to have access to, or Babel, I do want to have access to the files so that I can code metric data that might help me to look at different things, or to give the user the ability to look at different things, because it's kind of hard trying to code something that is so open that users can modify it and still be functional, because what might mean something to one user wouldn't necessarily mean the same thing to another. But what I did was, in here, I actually create buff out history, and what it does, it basically creates a flat file that is in a very simple flat file format, and it, in a sense, it reads the buff out logs, and it uses a filtered list to decide which keywords are in the buff out text file that it wants to record. And what you have is this. Okay, so you actually have this. So these would be keywords. So the keywords would be like the MSV, you define the keywords however you want. You can use the, I use the really cool, the buff out log analyzer, or the documentation for buff out, to see which keywords I want to filter for. And that's why it comes up with things like static collection, because I basically told it, BGS static collection is a keyword that I want to filter for. And like I say, it's completely configurable by the user, however you want to do it. But if you take a look, I added some simple graphing code, and it's not necessarily specific to buff out history. It's just simply it uses the framework of the display items, and then it just takes a look at the keywords, and it basically gives you a metric of their occurrences. And if you ignore, like, this shows you what modules took the biggest hits. This will tell you that this library, this DLL, is what took the biggest hits. And then as far as errors go that's in the buff out log, you can see that object cell, virtual machine, and loose file stream are some of the biggest. Those are some of the highest occurring. Like I say, the DLLs are which dynamic link library or little code chunks took the hit. And you'd have to actually look at the buff out log to determine which one is which. So you can actually see the metric of it. So a lot, ignoring the DLLs, it looks like that ObjectCell, which I believe came from the previs pre-combined system, the game engine system, virtual machine. This usually comes from where the Papyrus gets desynced, and that's usually if I add remove mods. I'm assuming I'm kind of like globalizing the cause, but it may simply be that scripts aren't jiving together. There's some kind of weird conflict, and it's where the engine gets desynced. And the only thing I can figure the way they're looking at that is they have frame numbers, and if the frame number gets off, if the frame number is incorrect, like if they use like a framing index, and they use that as a key to determine whether things are processing sequentially as they should, and if the index get out of whack, then okay, there's a problem. And like I say, loose file streams. So what I attempted to do was update the BNS trees, to the actual 3.0 release, not the beta, to see if that's going to solve the problem. So just wanted to drop this little piece of information off, and I'm going to keep kind of testing it. And I'm going to play here for a little bit and just see if I get the crash coming in and out of Sanctuary. Like I say, it's random, so it's hard to tell when it happens. I've tried to recreate it. I can't recreate it, which makes me believe that it's an unrecognized race condition, and I think that's part of what Bethesda, when you have multiple threaded applications, you do have a race condition. Unless you put code in there that basically says, I need to wait for this, and this to get done. So yeah, that's about the only thing I can think of at the moment. So wanted to toss this, just kind of want to toss this out there, and kind of let you see how the breakout and the spread is so far of the errors that I had. And if you can think of anything that you think might be useful, just let me know. And coding, if it's coding, it's simple, I can drop it in there, because this application is not just a mod manager. It allows data management. Oh my God, it covers a lot of different things, because I like a single interface to do just about everything I want to do. And if you look at the downloads, this is just a single folder that I've got, and you can see that in this folder, I literally have, what, 101,000 files. These are mods, and if I wanted to look up something like unofficial, I could literally find the files that I'm looking for. Let me see. I think I did yeah, there we go. Because it had to mark a whole bunch of these. So you literally can see that it just marks. So I can literally find a file by name, file by partial name, just simple stuff. So there has to be a way to manage a data volume this size, to back it up, to clean it up, to archive. All those things are kind of built in. They're like built-in functions, but they're not specific functions for a mod manager or for Fallout 4. I've tried to generalize. I try to take what all of these specific functions do and find out what the commonality is and code that. So everything is based from that point on parameters. So, in other words, like let's say you want to back up a folder, all you really need to know is the folder you're backing up and where you're backing it up to. And you have a single function. So you specify those two parameters, and you have a single function that now can be used across all games, or even outside of this mod manager if you so choose. I know that's kind of out of the scope of what I want to show you, but I just want to give you a brief idea of this and why it's taking so long, because it's a lot. But all right, so let me leave with that. I'm going to get back and test the game, and I'll keep posting back little things that I think might contribute to the crash, or maybe help fix crashes, as I kind of play. So good luck with that, and back to gaming.